Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Samantha back here with another little video. Hope you're doing okay. It's a beautiful day today here in the northwest of England, and as you can see here, the sun is shining through my blinds, so I'm going to leave this here just because I think it looks pretty, don't you think? Little spots of light. So I hope that's not too distracting. So today I thought we would have a look at a bracelet, although these links can be used for other things, but we're going to be making this today. Isn't that pretty? So these little links are basically, I think they look like eyes, I suppose, or I don't know. So we're going to be making this like so, just little links. So I thought that was quite pretty, and it's got a little bit of shape to it so that it drapes nicely across your wrist. All right, so I thought we'd look into that. But before we go any further, I thought I would bring you a little section now and again called What's Brought Me Joy This Week. So just a couple of little things that I thought I'd share with you. Now, my son is a teen, in his later teens, and he likes to go out mooching and walking through nature with his friends, which he did very recently, and came across something round and brown hidden in the mud, and he brought it home for me. So isn't that fun? So he found that in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of a field, just literally an ET head. Can I say that? Yeah, I suppose I can. Look at that. How funny is that? So that's brought me joy this week. So I have a little cabinet of curiosities in my lounge where I put all sorts of little trinkets and things that I've collected over the years. And that little guy has gone in my cabinet of curiosities. So how fun is that? Literally sat in the middle of a field in the mud. So he's brought me joy. Also, recently we went to the Manchester Museum, which is a beautiful museum, obviously in the centre of Manchester. And in its little shop, I found this little pot badger head. Isn't that beautiful? Which I use to put, you know, bits and pieces in, pens and my scissors and things. And that's brought me some joy. I absolutely love badgers. Indigenous to Britain, and we don't see very many of them because obviously they're endangered, I think, now, and also they only come out at night, and that's usually when I'm asleep. So that's brought me some joy. And finally, let me just move that elsewhere. And finally, what's brought me joy is my very good friend Linda over at Gunlock Lane Jewellery made a necklace which she highlighted on her channel, and I very cheekily said, I love that, and she said she would send it to me, which she has. Look at that beauty. Isn't that gorgeous? So this has also brought me joy, not just this week, but I just thought I would show you and highlight how wonderful she is. So head over to her channel, which I will leave a description for in the description box. And I've been wearing this quite a lot recently. Isn't that beautiful? So Linda, thank you so much for your beautiful gift. And I do wear it, my friend, and I will send you a photograph of me wearing it when I get round to it. All right, so there's my joyful things this week. So let's have a look at this bracelet, shall we? Beautiful, beautiful. Again, you can use these links for lots of other things, but let's make, I don't think we've made a bracelet for a while, so let's make a bracelet, shall we? So what you're going to need is you are going to need some 16 gauge. That's 1.25 mil wire, 16 gauge wire for the little arc pieces here, which I've made a few of in advance. Okay, so 16 gauge wire for that. I'll just pop that there because it's a big old spool. People ask me where I get my spools of wire from. Now, I'm not sponsored by these guys at all. It's just I buy them with my own money because they're extremely good quality, and I will put the link in the description box. It's a really good company, Scientific Wire Company, but I'll leave you the link if you're interested. I'm not sure if they post overseas. I think they might do, but obviously it'll be expensive because it's heavy, isn't it? So what else do we need? We're going to need some 0.5, that's 24 gauge. Where are you? 0.5, 24 gauge wire to do the little wrapped loop bits. And we're going to use our usual suspects. So I'm going to be using my 2 to 9 increment pliers. You're going to need some chain nose, you know, the usual things, your flush cutters, and you're going to need some jump rings. So I'm using 1mm jump rings in 4mm internal diameter and 3mm internal diameter. You're going to need just a ruler to measure out your lengths of wire. And what else? And a mandrel of some kind. Now I use this steel ring mandrel for all sorts of things, and I will be bending my little things around the bottom of here, but you can use anything really around your house. Any sort of mandrel will do, as long as it's, you know, a decent thickness. It's about so thick. All right, so I'll clear the board away, I'll stop waffling, and we'll get on and make this pretty bracelet. All right, so I'll see you in a few. And we are back, my friends. I hope these beautiful little portions of light and sun here aren't going to be too disruptive, but I quite like the way that looks. I don't think it'll be a problem, will it? So let's get on with making this. I have my cup of tea. Get yourself a beverage, whatever time of day it is. You know, is it really too early for a cocktail? Probably not. A mocktail or a cocktail, just grab your favourite drink and let's make these. Okay, so pop this to one side. What you're going to need to do is to take some lengths of wire. So bring in your ruler and your 1.25mm, which is 16 gauge. Okay, so give that a little bit of a stretch out. So you're going to need 5cm lengths, which is just short of 2 inches. So 2 inches would be fine for those of you who use inches. So I'm just going to chop off the end and measure out some 5cm lengths. So I think 5 centimeters is just literally just a tad short of 2 inches. So, you know, it works either way. Doesn't need to be hugely exact. And obviously you can make these a little shorter if you wanted, a little longer. Let's just do 2 for now, because they're not hard to make. And let's not make it a massively vast long video, shall we not? Right, so I'm using the second step on my plier, which is a 3mm mandrel. Again, you know, you can adapt this however you like. This is just me faffing about, actually, so we like to faff on this channel. You can use whatever you want. Put it at the end of your plier so you can't feel it, and just make a P. I mean, these P's are the basis for an awful lot of designs, aren't they, in our jewellery making? So we've done this before. Okay, so again, I've made quite a few of these, so if you want to do it in sort of a production line, you can do. I'm just going to make the 2 so that I can show you how to make this unit. We won't make it too long a video. Let's have a look. Okay, and so around. So let's just make the 2. So we have these 2 pieces. All right. So this is obviously when you come in with your mandrel of whatever kind you want to use. I like to use the end of this to bend the pieces. So you take your little unit here, and with the hoops facing forward, we have a fly in here. Why is it that flies can come in through a little tiny hole, and then when you open a massive door, they can't find their way out? So I hope that's not a problem. So with the hoops facing upwards, literally just bend it around your mandrel. Use anything you like. I'm sure everyone has a ring mandrel in their stash, don't they? And then again, bend over your mandrel so that they're all consistent shape, like so. I'm just going to get rid of that there because we don't need that now. So I'd neglected to say, actually, you're going to need a little block and a very inexpensive block and hammer. I don't have expensive things in my house, and I use quite a lot of things that you can find around your house as well. Just makes life cheaper. So all you need to do now is to bash this. Now what I think looks pretty is when you bash them a little bit, but don't concentrate on this area, concentrate on the center. Okay, so when you're bashing, to sort of flatten to flatten this piece out a little fatter, if you will, as you're bashing, move away from the object that you're bashing. So like so, a little bit, if that makes sense. So hold these two here, and as you're bashing, sort of slide away from the piece. And then just give the hoops a little tap just to work harden them. All right, that's all you need to do. Dead simple. Okay, so let me just bring the mandrel back in. Oh, it's on the floor. Oh, my old bones. And then if it just comes out of shape slightly, which that hasn't, which is great, just, you know, pop it back on your mandrel. There you go, back on the floor. So do that with, I mean, if you wanted to make the bracelet, you'll need 6 of those, won't you? All right, so I'll come in with my 2 so I can show you what to do next. Right, get rid of the hammer. So here we have our pieces, and hopefully they should meet in the middle like so. If these little loops come undone slightly, which they can do sometimes when you're hammering, literally just pop them back into place. Super easy. Super easy. We like easy, don't we? I certainly do anyway. Easy is good. So there are 2 ways that you can do this. You can link these 2 together, which I'll show you how to do first. Now there is a little bit of movement in these, which is good because it moves with the body, see? And pops back into place like so. So you can either wrap the hoop bits first, or you can do the loop bits first. I'm choosing to do the loop bits when I've wrapped the hoop bits, if that makes sense. So come in with your wire. So I'm using 24 gauge here. So you don't need an awful lot to attach these two bits together, just a little bit, like so, like so, like so. Let's have a look. Oops, there we go. Make sure they match, which that one doesn't. That's slightly longer. Let me just double check that these actually, because it does make a difference. They've got to be, you know, they've got to be the same length. That's better. Not sure what I did with that one anyway. Never mind, not to worry. So this can be a little fiddly, this part, but bear with it because it's worth it, like everything else. Super easy though. I mean, you know, it's not a hard thing to do. So, you know, what you need to do is wire wrap these guys here together. Now I think I've used 5 wraps, but it's entirely up to you. So in through, up through, and tighten with your plier if you want. And obviously keep those hoops flat, don't cross them over. Back through. I'm just going to bring my pliers in because I do have arthritic hands, particularly my thumbs, so it just makes life easier, doesn't it? There we go. So back through, making sure that everything's nice and tight, because you don't want these to wriggle around too much, like so. That's it. Back up through. Super easy, this bit. Fiddly but easy. There we go. And how many have I done there? 4. Give them a little squish with your plier. Shall I do 4? Did I do 4? Yeah, 4's probably about right. Okay, so you've got that. Give it a bit of a flatten with your pliers, like so. And then chop off these little bits at the back. Now I chop off in the centre so that I can vary the end of that wire a little bit if I wanted to. like so. There we are. Just watch your eyes, whatever you do. Don't be coming to me with missing eyes. I'd hate that. So flatten everything together, and obviously I'm doing this through the camera, so I'm probably making it look more difficult than it needs to be, but give things a smush so everything's nice and tidy. You just literally do the same on the other side. Turn it around. Okay, can you see that? That's good, isn't it? So take another little piece. Oops. Don't cut with your pliers, Sam, cut with your cutters. Right, same thing. So we come in, there we are, and join these other twos together, like so. Like so. Obviously my fat fingers are going to be in the way a little bit here, but you get the picture. You need to keep hold of things with your fingers to keep them intact and secure, don't you? So if you can't see exactly what I'm doing, I apologise. There we go. Oh. Squish things up a little bit and tighten, like so. Back up. I hope the camera and I hope my microphone is not picking up on that blue bottle. Well, it's a little fly. An annoying little fly. Go away, fly. There we go, just smush. And as you can see, the more we do that, the more stable it becomes. So one more. Back down. So hopefully you can see what I've done there. There we go. So that's our little unit made. Now when you do both sides, it becomes a lot more secure. Just push those up. There we go. So again, snip there and snip in there. Super. All right, let me get rid of those. So here we have our little unit, which has been created with the two little lengths of wire. Okay, so as you can see here, that's nice and secure now. That, in fact, that doesn't wobble around at all. I've done a really good job there. Well done, Sam. Well done, me. A star for me. There we go. All right, so you want to make, for this bracelet, you want to make 3 of these, all right, which look like so. Okay, so you're going to need to take a little bit of wire now. So I'm going to say for each side, because we're going to do it on each side, you're going to need to take probably 15 centimeters, 6 inches. Now I'm going to make mine a little bit longer because I'm always scared of running out of wire. So I've taken, how much have I taken here? About 7.5 inches. So we'll see how much you actually do need. So I start here so that the wire is underneath, and wrap it round a couple of times. On the left, obviously, if you're left-handed, just reverse what I'm doing. Just to secure the wire, like so, like so. All right, so you've got 2 wraps there. Use your fingernails, etc. How many did I do? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, and 3, and then back for number 4, like so, and give it a tug. Just keep using your fingers to smush everything down nicely. All right, so there we go. Right, so we have this wire coming out from underneath with 4 little wraps here to secure it. All right, so I'm going to come in with the first step on my plier. You can use your round nose if you want to here. And we're going to be placing the small mandrel on the outside. So I'm going to be bending this wire around it. All right, so you hold it thus, bend the wire around and pop it through. So this is where we have to be gentle with our wire, because if we manipulate it too much, it ends up getting too hardened and too brittle, and then it snaps. So try and just, you know, manipulate it as least as you can. Back through, like so, for 2 wraps. So there's 2 wraps in between. You see that? Take the plier out and replace the plier next to the wrap that you've just done, and repeat. So over, like so, through the unit, like so. Again, keep smoothing as you go. Back through, like so. Nice and peacefully, nice and gently. So we have 2. And again, place your mandrel next to the wrap that you've just done and bend the wire around it and through, so that it's wrapping around the mandrel and making a loop type of thing. Then back through for another one, like so. So that's 4, sorry, 3, can't count. And then we'll try it one more time, back through. So you can use 4 or 5 wraps for this. So if you do 4, you just space them out slightly. If you choose to do 5, that's absolutely fine. But I'm just going to use 4. Okay, so just space them out a little bit. Okay. And then we want to match this side. So we've got 1 wrap, 2, like so. And you can remove your plier and then come in for number 3, like so. And then number 4. Again, trying to keep everything nice and secure and tight with your fingers. Right, so what did I say? 7.5 inches I took, didn't I? I don't think we needed that much. If this happens, literally just pop your plier in. Accidents happen, mistakes are made. Doesn't matter when something is handcrafted, in my opinion. So there we go. So let's chop that off and see how much we actually needed. Although I do like to use a slight touch more because it's easier to hold on to, isn't it? Just smush that very gently. So we have one side done. When you come to this part here, you'll notice that these little loops here can be a little bit off kilter. So I just come in with my plier, just give them a little bit of a straighten, like so. Like so. And as you can see now, they're a lot better. Okay, so we'll just snip the starting one off as well. And there we have one side done. Isn't that pretty? There we are. Pretty, pretty, pretty. So we'll just do the other side. So how much did I use? About 5 inches actually, but again, you know, I'm choosing to use 7.5 because it just gives you a little bit more to hold on to. Actually, I don't think that's enough. I'll use that for something else. There we go, that's better. So let's just quickly do the other side. All right, so isn't that pretty? So start again so that the wire comes out from underneath. So we want 4 wraps. Hopefully you're following this along and I'm not talking gobbledygook, which, you know, I can do at times. There we go. So 1 more wrap through and through, just making sure that your wire doesn't kink up, which it can have a tendency to do, naughty wire. There we are, so that's 4 wraps. So we just want to replicate the same thing. So, excuse me, come in with your plier, around and through. Again, just being very careful with your wire not to overwork it. There we are. And then back through. There's literally 1 wrap in between each one, like so. And whilst I'm doing this, we'll have a quick chat about my channel philosophy. There are some people who think I go too slowly, which is absolutely fine. This channel is really, you know, geared towards the beginner. So I'm having lots of nice feedback from my lovely, lovely viewers who say that I go at the right speed. So genuinely, if this is too slow for you, that's totally fine. My channel just isn't for you. There's, you know, I could tell you quite a few different channels who go a lot quicker than I do, if that's what you want. But don't forget that I am not an expert. I'm just a woman who sits at home making pretty things. And I'm pretty much, you know, a relative advanced beginner, I would suggest myself. So if I go too slow, you know, speed me up a bit. The fast forward button is your friend. But this channel is about meeting up and having a chat and making some pretty things along the way. Okay, so we come in for number 4, which we place through. I hope I'm getting all of this on camera whilst I'm talking, because if not, I'm going to have to re-record it, which is fine, but I'd rather not have to, because I've got chores to do this afternoon. The dreaded chores. I wish I could afford a housekeeper to come and do my chores for me. Never mind. Okay, so we have 4 as well, you see? So we've got 1 wrap and 2. And then we'll go around for 3. Yeah, I've used a bit too much wire there, Sammy, but that's fine. We can use it for something else. Just squish these together. And then, excuse me, and 4. Don't listen to me, guys. When it comes to lengths of wire, I am notoriously bad for using too much wire, which, you know, is a bad thing sometimes. Okay, let me just chop that off. So as you can see, we have the 2 sides done now. So I'll just squish that and I'll just straighten these little guys up here. So everyone's nice and happy There we are. And then just chop this little piece off here. And that's our unit made. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, if you really wanted to, you could wrap a bead in between and it would look like eyes, I think, wouldn't it? How cute. I did have some little fish beads from the Check Beads exclusive, so I think I might make some with a little fish in between. I think it looks quite fishy, don't you think? A bit of a fishy design. But anyway, anything goes. Some little flat coin beads would be nice in the centre, or some seed beads, or whatever you want if you wanted to do that. I quite like the open space. I quite like the negative space that this design brings. I think it's really pretty. So come back to me when you have made 3 of these and then we'll look at what to do next. So I'll see you in a few. Righty ho, my friends, we're back and let's construct the rest of this lovely bracelet. So this is where we come in with our jump rings. All right, so you're going to need some 3mm and some 4, and we're going to be making just a couple of little, however large you want your bracelet, just a couple of little units to attach. So as you can see here, this unit here is a bent one, and this one is the one that we've just made. All right, so for me, I think it sits much better over the wrist if you give it a little bit of a bend like so. All right, so come in with your little unit. All right, and just use your fingers and pop it in between your thumb and your forefinger, and very, very gently just give it a little bend like so, like so, and then just bend it a little, so you put a little bit of an arc on it like so. You see that? So literally just very gently in between your fingers. Now if you wanted to use your mandrel to bend it around, you can do, but I just think it's easier just to use your fingers. You've got more control with your fingers, I think, so if you can feel what you're doing, it's easier, isn't it? And then pop it on the wrist and see if it should sort of fit over the wrist like so. All right, right, so let's construct this. So what I've done is I've taken a 3mm jump ring, which will take a few out, and you attach the 3mm jump ring to the little loops that you've made, and then you want to attach two to this other one here like so. Where's my other? Like so. Really easy, this part. We've all done jump rings, haven't we? And if you're interested, I do have a little video. I don't talk in it, which for some people is a good thing, where I will pop a link up at the top right of the screen, where you can have a look and see how I make my jump rings without all the fancy schmancy equipment, which is great if you can afford it. If you're like me and you're just a stay-at-home mum or granny or whatever, you can't afford all the big equipment, don't worry about it. It's easy to do. So I will link that for you. Okay, and then come in with a 4mm jump ring, like so. And then we want to attach those two, like so. And then these two. So we just attach everything together. Typically, because I'm doing this through the camera, it's proving to be harder than it needs to be. There we go. So attach together like so. There we are. So that's how we attach them. And then we just want a couple of our little 3mm jump rings at the end. There we are. And you know what? You can use any clasp you want for these. I've just chosen a simple shepherd's hook, you know, like we do on a lot of our work, because they're just so easy, aren't they? Little shepherd hooks. Nothing too complicated. And we don't like complicated. Well, sometimes it's good. Most of the time we just want something simple. And then a 4mm, just to bring these two 3mm ones together at the end. Like so. There we are. Can you see how that's constructed now? So 3mm jump rings and a 4mm in the center, and then 3mm, 3mm, and then a 4. All right. So in order to make these little guys here, we've made these before. They're just like little beads. I've just used seed beads in the center, and then just made little loops, which we'll do on another video, because you can use whatever you like. Bit of chain, you don't have to put beads on, you can just use chains if you want. You know, just use whatever you want. These are only just ideas for you. Please go on. Yeah, there you go. These are just ideas. So there is our little bracelet using these cute little units. Now, I suppose if you really wanted, in fact, I think I will, you can use these to make earrings, which I think I will do to match. How cute. But there you are. There's your gorgeous little bracelet that sits beautifully around the wrist. How cute is that? So have fun making that, and let me know how you get on in the comments, and let me know what's brought you some joy this week. Share the joy with us, and I'll see you in my next video. So I'll speak to you soon, guys. Thanks for watching.